today we bring you a closer look at the Skoda Slavia. We max out in the fastest Mercedes-AMG Hatchback and check out the new vehicle scrappage facility in Noida. Hello and welcome to Overdrive. I am Soini Dutt. The Skoda Slavia is larger than the first generation Octavia, which is a brand that debuted in the country over 20 years ago. In fact, it is even larger than the Rapid that it replaces in the country, and it is wider than any of the cars in its segment, with its wheelbase being more than that of the Honda City. In fact, Bert got a chance to take a look at this Slavia at its world premiere earlier this week. Here's that story.
The Skoda Volkswagen alliance here in India is on an offensive. They are out to capture a fairly large market share with a whole new range of products. We've already seen Skoda coming out with the Kushaq, but now they're here with the Slavia. Looks pretty impressive, quite attractive. It's got a very strong design language, something that we've already seen almost 2 years ago at the Auto Expo, and now of course it's manifesting itself in its range of products that are coming out from their plant in Pune. Now, the Slavia, of course, is a mid-size sedan. It will compete against the likes of the Honda City, the Ciaz from Maruti, of course, the Hyundai's Verna and other products as well. But what we're very keen to see, of course, is just how well its petrol powertrain performs in this car. And as you look at it from the front, you'd see it's got those characteristic lines and design language that we already saw on the Kushaq. The front grille, very edgy. I like this nice line that runs through it. It's got an edge to it. The blacked out effect with those mirror finish elements right here on each spoke of that grille, well, gives it a very upmarket, gives a very modern, contemporary look for that matter. Again, headlamps, crystal elements inside there, looks pretty fancy. You've got some nice texturing on the bottom, and of course you've got the driving lamps with those blacked out inserts. Again, gives it a lot of strength, makes it look quite handsome, quite attractive. The lower air dam also, as you can see, again, full blacked out effect. What I do like is this paint job. This blue, cerulean blue, looks quite impressive. It's something that we haven't seen in this segment ever before, but looks quite nice, quite attractive for that matter. If we move towards the sides now, what you would see is that the Slavia rides on 16-inch wheels and tires. Again, these are Seat Securas. This is a 205/55 profile. There's a fair amount of ground clearance that it's got, so it should be comfortable for Indian conditions. What you'd also notice is that it's a very short overhang for that matter, so it shouldn't technically have any problem driving over speed breakers as well. The length of the car, if you look at it from the side, is just a little over 4 meters long. Very strong lines coming in from the Skoda badge on the fender element, the shoulder and the mid waistline coming all the way, stretching all the way to the rear. I do like the lower line, of course, which runs across the door handles, which have got this chromed out effect, and they kind of wrap themselves around the tail end of the car, go all the way around the car. If you come a little further behind, what you'll notice is the Skoda badging on the rear. Very smart element, looks pretty impressive. It's got the badge, the Slavia badge right there. But here's the one thing that impressed me most, it's the boot space. That is a cavernous boot. This is one of the largest boots in the category. The other elements, again, LED tail lamps, headlamps, all those effects, everything contemporary. I do like the texturing on the rear tail lamps as well. It's got this nice crosshatch pattern, and well, it looks, you know, it is attractive. It's a fairly good looking interior. I do like this mirror finish that you've got on the dashboard over here. Even this element, it's plastic, but this gold effect gives it a very nice, very unique stance. In fact, I've never seen something of this sort. Lovely texturing both on the dashboard. This is hard plastic, but again, nice texturing right here around the touchscreen element. Again, on the bezels as well, if you look at it, it's got some very nice texturing around that. Looks quite premium. Very interesting design elements inside this cabin. I think Skoda's really worked their hearts off in making this cabin look modern, attractive, making sure that sedans make a comeback in the market. I do like the look and feel of this screen right here, the clarity and the sharpness, phenomenal, looks quite impressive. Moving on, I also like the steering wheel element over here, very handsome. Again, it's got that two-spoke design layout that we've seen on the Kushaq earlier, and of course on some of the other cars as well that Skoda has been introducing in the market. I think if Skoda can price this right, they've got a phenomenal product on their hands. Again, LED display, all of it digital, and there's a fair amount of information that you can read out over there. Being a car in that compact premium segment, that entry compact premium segment, I do believe Skoda will give a lot of features. It will have your wireless charging and a whole lot of other features as well, both in terms of safety, of course, comfort and convenience as well. Now, this entire exhaustive list of features, what's available in the Slavia, will be made privy to us, I think, at the time of launch, which is not too far away, which is the first quarter of 2022. Now, Skoda claims that this is one of the widest cars in that category, in the sedan category. And of course, what we can see inside this cabin, there is a fair amount of space. And what I'd like to mention over here rather is that even though this has the width, I don't think it would be extremely comfortable for 3 people on this back bench. 2, brilliant comfort. You can even put down the armrest and get additional, well, support there. But if you had to put 3 people in here, it would be a bit of a squeeze. What I do like is that you've got AC vents on the rear. You've also got Type-C charging points. And if you look at it, there's a fair amount of knee room. There is an amazing amount of headroom for a sedan. Overall, this is a brilliant cabin. I also like the fact that it's a fairly low floor, and if you look down here, there's a very short, rather elevated transmission tunnel running through it. But it's fairly short, it's very close to the ground, and that's another advantage. If there's a third person sitting here, he'll be able to sit comfortably at least. So here's the engine. This is the 1 litre turbocharged petrol that we've already seen on the Kushaq. Now the output is about 110 PS of max power. This engine will be mated to a choice of 2 transmissions as well. But well, the cream of the lot will of course be the 1.5 litre petrol. Keep in mind, Skoda, Volkswagen, everyone within the Skoda Volkswagen group offers only petrol engines at this point in time. There is no diesel option. But talking about the 1.5 litre petrol, now that makes about 150 PS of max power, and that will be mated to 2 transmission options as well, a 6-speed manual transmission and a 7-speed dual clutch transmission. Keep in mind, that's 3 options that you've got, rather 2 engine options and 3 transmission options, depending on what floats your boat. That's a fair amount of choice that you've got within these. So all in all, a handsome product, looks pretty impressive. I think there's a lot of strong takeaways that Skoda has put in this. Significantly better design elements than what we've seen in the Kushaq for that matter, especially where the interiors are concerned. And I think this is something that could well invigorate the compact sedan segment, because that's a segment that's taking a big hit. Numbers are going down tremendously. But let's see if Skoda can kind of build some of that excitement, bring some of that excitement back to that segment.
Bookings of the Skoda Slavia have already opened. You can book this car online or via any of the Skoda dealerships across the country. And as we mentioned, it does compete against the likes of the Hyundai Verna, the Honda City and the Maruti Suzuki Ciaz. The car will launch early in 2022. That's when we will get to know about the prices. We'll take a very quick break on the show. Coming up on the other side, we'll get you acquainted with the new Mercedes-AMG Hatchback. Welcome back, you're watching Overdrive. Mercedes has finally launched its hatchback, the AMG A45S 4MATIC, in the country starting at 79.5 lakh rupees. And no, it's not one of those AMGs that are being locally assembled or produced in the country, but this is the fastest hatchback to go on sale in the country. And talking about fast, Mercedes invited us to NatTrack's, its high-speed test track, to test this car. So without a moment's hesitation, we made it to Indore.
11 odd kilometers of the best test track facilities in the country, 421 PS, 500 Newton meters, a hot hatch to rule them all, and just 10 minutes to take it all in. So the pro and con of having a really short drive like this is that you jump right into the thick of the action, and our first experience with the A45S is essentially a high-speed run. We're at the NatTrack, we're on the banking, the car's in comfort, and we're inching past 270. It says it's electronically limited to 270, but we've just hit 278. This hand-built 2-litre AMG engine really stands out versus the 2-litre turbo engines that are also in the A35 sedan and the GLA 35. Now it is up on par versus the previous CLA 45 and GLA 45 that were once available in India, but this is the first time that the S is available in India. This is what you need to know about the AMG A45S. It's the most power that anyone, anywhere has ever got out of a four-cylinder engine. And given that this is just 2 liters, they've managed to pull out 421 PS and 500 Newton meters of torque from it, which is just nuts when you think about it. Most 2-liter four-cylinder engines that we are familiar with top out at 192 PS, 250 PS, 300 PS even. The previous generation of the car had about 370, 380 PS, and they've just pushed the boundaries with this thing. And for a car from factory to be so highly tuned, that's really saying something. The best part is it doesn't feel highly strung at all. Even at its electronically limited top speed of 278 kmph on the clock, the engine's only at 5100 RPM, and it definitely feels like it's got more in reserve. We were asked not to activate race start and launch the car hard on the high-speed track, but what we can tell you about the 8-speed AMG Speedshift 8G dual-clutch transmission is that shifts feel quicker than they do versus the 7-speed in the A35 or even the 8-speed in the GLA 35. The real party trick of the A45S arrives when you switch to manual shifting, switch off ESP, go into race mode, pull in both paddles and say yes. Drift mode can send up to 80% of the torque to the rear wheels versus the lesser 35 model's 50% maximum to the rear, and it completely transforms the car's all-wheel drive characteristics to a near rear-wheel drive experience despite having open differentials at the front and the rear. So you've got a twin clutch pack on the rear axle that helps split torque and actually help carry big smoky drifts like we saw Arjun Meni pull off. Now unfortunately that's not something that we can do today, but for potential owners, it's something that's definitely worth its weight when they want to have a little more fun and change the dynamics of the car. But of course, when you put your foot down, you realize the might of this little engine. Oh yeah! Oh yeah, that's a pull from 120 and we're already at 180. We've been fortunate enough to experience the AMG E63S, the big daddy AMG, right here at the high-speed track at the NATRAX. And for a 2-liter twin-scroll turbocharged engine, man, this thing rips. That's a pull from 215 kmph and it's still going. Now what I can tell you from my experience with the E63S versus the A45S is that this thing feels properly alive. Now where that car feels almost like it's isolating you from the fact that you're doing 300 plus kmph, you definitely feel the speed in the A45, and that's what you want from a hot hatch. India's fastest hot hatch? Hell yeah. I just can't get over how it accelerates from 200. Now you really can't tell much about a car's suspension setup from absolutely smooth tarmac like this, but what you can tell is that there is this taut feeling that the car gives you. It definitely makes the car feel alive and makes it feel agile and energetic. And at the end of the day, that's exactly what you want your hot hatch to feel like, and you want it to make you feel like pushing it, and I think the A45S has that feeling nailed down pat. The A45S also has a widened track versus the regular A-Class hatch and is even wider than the A35 sedan, for example, which means it's stable and tie down at the speeds it's capable of despite its agility and the sharp nature of the steering. Compared to the 35 models, the A45S gets the full AMG exterior treatment, including the more aggressive Panamericana grille, functional ADAMs, side vents, larger wheels, and double the number of exhaust exits at the rear. It sounds meaner and louder too, especially with the exhaust valves fully open. The interiors feel like an AMG should too, with AMG's Dynamica, Alcantara-like upholstery and piano black trim, the full AMG telematics package, and excellent support from the bucket seat lookalikes. Space is adequate too, with more headroom than the A35. It should be. The dimensions sit between mid-size SUVs like the Hyundai Creta and Alcazar, so it's not exactly a small hatch. its features list is fairly full too and shouldn't leave you wanting for much. With a price tag of Rs 79.5 lakh ex showroom or about Rs 20 lakh over the lesser A35 and GLA 35, one could argue that the performance differential, while large, can't really be exploited on our roads. But what you will feel right away is the difference in character with the AMG A45S. It's got that exuberance you expect from an AMG. And that should make it worth the price for a select few. Numbers are expected to be limited in any case. And I'm already jealous of the lucky future owners of this truly hot hatch.
Well, as you can see, the Mercedes-AMG Hatchback has been a complete hit with the Overdrive team. Of course, the asking price is a bit too steep compared to the A35, but the level of involvement, the interaction and of course, the speed that this hatchback offers is unparalleled. We'll take a very quick break here on the show. Coming up on the other side, we get you acquainted with the new... Welcome back, you're watching Overdrive. Maruti Suzuki Toyotsu India, joint venture by Maruti Suzuki and Toyota India, have opened a vehicle scrapping and recycling facility in Noida. Parikshit Luthra gets us all the details.
We are inside Maruti Suzuki's first scrapping center in the country, which has been set up in collaboration with Toyota. This is the second scrapping center in the Delhi NCR region. Now this facility, which is spread over 11,000 square meters, gives customers the facility of getting their vehicles completely dismantled, from the process of removing the vehicle battery to removing the engine oils, brake fluids, complete dismantling of seats, interiors, and finally the crushing of the vehicle. The entire process is carried out under this roof. We're also told that the scrap value of the vehicle goes directly into the bank account of the customer, and the customer gets a destruction certificate or a scrapping certificate as well, which is essential for getting the vehicle deregistered. Give us a sense of the kind of benefits you're giving a customer.
Okay, first of all, that is at this moment, the customer call to unauthorized people is taking time to document, etc. But the customer call to the authorized government recycler to us. We're taking care of all the document. And once they bring to their car to us, we can issue the destruction certificate. This is one of the biggest key point.
Right, and all the recycled material that you get, does it go back to Maruti Suzuki and Toyota?
At this moment is yes, that will be somehow we plan to bring back to the car. But at this moment we just started, so all of the material go to steel mill or aluminum mill, etc. as end user. For the future purpose, yes, of course that we try to do that, what I call that car-to-car recycling.
OEM को मैंने रिक्वेस्ट किया है, मैंडेटरी नहीं है, क्योंकि ये स्क्रैपिंग पॉलिसी से 12%, 13%, 15% जो सेल बढ़ेगा, इसका बेनिफिट OEM को भी मिलने वाला है. तो मैंने उनको कहा कि जो पुरानी गाड़ी को स्क्रैप करेगा, वो सर्टिफिकेट लेके आएगा, तो मिनिमम 1 लाख से 1.5 लाख रुपए आप उसको बेनिफिट दो, क्योंकि इससे आपका भी सेल बढ़ रहा है. फिर स्टेट और सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट का GST नए गाड़ियों के कारण बढ़ रहा है, तो उन्होंने भी कुछ इंसेंटिव देना चाहिए. कुछ मेरे लेवल पर जो थे वो निर्णय मैंने किए हैं.
We're told by company sources that it takes about 200 minutes to scrap one vehicle. This unit has a capacity of scrapping 2,000 cars per month. This is a scalable capacity, we are told, and looking at the potential in this sector, Maruti Suzuki is looking to set up scrapping centers all across the country. This particular unit where we are standing will cater to customers from the Delhi NCR region.
It will serve all segments: commercial, passenger vehicles, two-wheelers, three-wheelers, all segments will be covered.
Right. And on an average, what kind of a scrap value can a customer expect here? How is that decided and judged?
So the scrap value varies with a lot of parameters. First, of course, is the commodity size of the car or the vehicle. Second is the condition of the vehicle. Third is the prevailing commodity prices in the market. So, for example, steel, aluminium, or other such materials.
The government is urging the industry to open up at least 200 to 300 scrapping centers in the next 2 to 3 years. Currently, apart from the large number of unorganized scrapping units, there are just about 5 or 6 authorized scrapping centers in the country. But the automobile industry does see this as a sector of huge opportunity, an opportunity to reduce raw material costs with recycled products and recycled material as well. And the Indian market does provide a huge opportunity. There are at least 85 lakh light motor vehicles and 17 lakh trucks in the country which could be fit for scrapping.
Well, with that, it's a wrap on this week's edition of Overdrive. But remember, you can stay in touch with the team through Facebook, Twitter, as well as YouTube. And you can follow our latest updates on Instagram as well. We'll see you next week. Until then, goodbye. Many thanks for joining.